Hi, this is Tom from Hawfish, and recently I've gotten questions on how to get started in fishing. So I've created a series of YouTube videos to help do just that. I'm going to teach the very basics in a way that can help not only the beginners, but to get kids started into fishing. Uh, Please watch all the videos in the series. I'll keep them short so you can watch them at your own pace and watch them to the end. You'll have, or at the end, you'll have an understanding of the equipment, the mechanics, and what to expect while you're enjoying the outdoors. Stay tuned. Okay, let's get started. I'm going to take a little bit different approach to teaching you this stuff, and I'm going to give you start out by giving you a shopping list. And then I'm going to come back in detail and probably zoom into each one of the items on the list and talk about why I picked them. So let's pretend this scenario. I'm going to take you out for fishing to teach you how to fish tomorrow. We're going to go majority of the day. We're going to go catch some bluegill and crappie and whatever happens to be biting. And I want you to bring certain things with you so that you have your own equipment. So the first item on the list, I want you to bring a couple packs of bobbers. You'll see in the store that there will be lots and lots of different types of bobbers. Some people call them floats. But what I want you to do is find ones that have the float that's about as big as a quarter or smaller, no bigger. But bring a couple packs of those. They only cost you a couple dollars. I want you to bring a pack or two of hooks. I want you to look for bait holder hooks, and I want you to pick either 10 or size 12. I want you to find a pack of Gulp minnows, or if they don't have that, find a container of wax worms. This is Gulp Alive. These are not real, they're soft plastics. I'll get to that in a minute. I want you to pick up a little bag of removable split shots in size BB. You'll get about 50 or 60 in a bag. Also a couple dollars, but I want you to bring them with you. Bring a pair of needle nose pliers. They don't have to be anything fancy, just you probably have them in your garage, but I want you to bring those. And get a small container so that we can put your hooks and bobbers and things in here to keep organized. Bring with you or send with you, if this is a case of I'm taking a kids out, bring specially bring lots of snacks, bring a drink, bring fruit, whatever is their favorites, bring lots of them. And obviously I want you to bring a rod. Pick something around 4 to 5 foot. They'll tell you right on it how long the rod is. And it doesn't matter to me whether it's this style, spin casting, or some people call them push buttons because they have a push button. Or maybe you'll see a spinning outfit like this, but bring a rod that's like that. And if it's a kid, it's very important that it fits their hands. So you may have to take the kid to the store with you and have them hold the rod, make sure that they can reach the different controls that are on the rod. But I'll make a separate video just for rods and the mechanics of them. So tune into that one because it'll be lots of help. And finally, I want you to bring a bag that fits this equipment in. Now the bag I want you to bring, I want it to have a shoulder strap so you can fit all this stuff in and throw it over your shoulder. Or I want you to get a fanny pack style that's large enough to fit this stuff in. Now don't think that you're limited to the fishing department. If your kid's coming, backpacks work great. Put all this stuff in a backpack. They can throw it on their shoulders, and all they need to do is carry their rod. Check in the hunting department. Check in, there's other departments that have bags. You don't have to be locked into buying fishing stuff in the fishing department. Buy something that'll work for you and you'll be comfortable in. We'll be hiking around the lake and through the woods for a little bit, so that'll be helpful. So once you gather all that stuff up, I will see you in the morning. Now, at this point in the video, I'm going to talk about each one of those things specifically and why I picked that. So in a moment, let's do that. Okay, let's talk about bobbers for a minute. When you walk into the store to select your bobbers or floats, most of the time they're going to call them floats. You'll see on this package they call them floats also. But you're going to see all different shapes and sizes and colors, and some of them, like this old one's made out of styrofoam. These ones I believe are foam. Some of them are wood. Most of them will be plastic. You'll see real big ones. You'll see small ones, even tiny ones. The reason that I said, and I have a quarter here for scale so you can see, compare how big some of these are. Really, whether you pick this classic style like these where you push this and a little hook pops out to clip it onto your line, or whether you find ones like this style with a spring, it really doesn't matter. They all do the same thing. The important part of that, of why I chose these, is I don't want you to pick, we're only going for bluegill and panfish. And a good indicator when you get a bite is that your bobber goes under the water. So what I don't want is you to have this giant cannonball that you're expecting to this little tiny fish to pull under. So as long as you can see it, as long as you can get it out there, which usually this 1 inch or 3/4, some of them you'll even see have lead weights built into them to give you a little extra weight so you can throw it out farther. We're not going to be casting that far. We're just going to be along the shoreline looking for some panfish. So it doesn't need to be that big. Let the fish be able to pull it under, which is a clear indicator that you have a bite. So if you find something like this, or you want to get something like that, hey, if you have a favorite color, that's fine. Basically, they all do the same thing. They keep your weight up, or they keep your bait up, and when the fish pulls on it and starts to run, it goes under the water. Some of them, like this style, your line actually hooks. If you can see that, hooks into this little notch they have, and then the spring kind of locks it into place. So if your line's connected to here, sometimes these are nice because they lay flat like this on the water, and when the fish starts to bite it or pull it, it flips up in the air and could be a nice indicator that you're getting a bite. But these work just as well. Some will cost more than others. Your basic round float is good enough. So let's talk about hooks for a little bit. You'll notice when you walk down the aisle that there are hundreds and hundreds of kinds of hooks. Different shapes, different colors. The thing that I want you to understand is that there is a scale that talks about sizes of hooks. You'll hear some people say, I want a 3/0 hook for this rubber worm, or I want a size 4 for this, or a size 8 for that. What that means is, I'm going to put this tablet, and I hope you guys don't mind just watching my hands for a while, but it's basically this. If we start at 0, okay, and I go this way, the numbers are going to go up. So we'll have 1, 2, there's no 3, but we'll have a 4, there's no 5, but we'll have 6. For the most part, they go even, but they have a few stragglers in there. So it'll be 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. And as I go this way, okay, I'm going to get smaller. But to confuse things a little bit, if I went this way, I'm going to get bigger. But that's not the confusing part. The confusing part is they use a system like this, and they call it aught. 1 aught. And then there's 2 aught, 3 aught, 4 aught, 5, and so on and so on. But what I want you to know is that if you start at 0 and it's solely a number, the higher the number, it gets the hook sizes are smaller. And if they're in the aughts, which they'll always have a slash and a little 0, the numbers get bigger, the hook gets bigger. So if I set this aside and I look at these packs, I have a lot of packs here. If I look on this package, I'll see that it has a 1/0, and that tells me it's a 1 aught. So that's on this side. That's on this side of the scale, right? And if I look through here, I have another 1 aught. Okay, so that's going to be about the same size as this, even though those are different shapes and they may have a different function. They're similar in size. And then as I go up the scale, I have a pack. These are 3 aughts. They'll be a little bit bigger than those, and so forth. Here's a pack of 2 aughts. They would actually fit in between here. Even up to these guys are 6 aughts. They're giant. Okay. For right now, we don't need to worry about that. I just wanted to give you an understanding of the scale, because as we go on the other side of the scale, you're going to see that we have a 4. There's no slash in the 0, so I'm on this side, and here's a 2. So the 2 will go here. The 4 is after that. You can see that the 2 is actually bigger. So the higher the number, the smaller I get. So this 2, that hook, is a little bit bigger than this hook. That's a 4. And as I go higher in the things, and underneath my tablet here is what I told you to bring. We have, if we look on here, we have a 10 and we have 12. SC means the size. So these will be way down on this end of the scale, and for right now I want you to concentrate on like this range, your 8, 10, 12 size hook, and you can see the difference. As I get higher in the size number, I get smaller. So if you look at the 4, or if you look at the 2, look at that hook, and I look at a 12, it's much smaller. Anyway, that's a little bit extra information, but I want you to understand what these mean when you see them on the package. The rest is just what style of hook, what kind of bends do they have in it. So all this means is this is an octopus style, so it's kind of short and wide. You'll have these off-shank worm EWGs. They'll have a big long bend in it, which is different than like the bait holders, which typically have a couple barbs on it, and what those do is they keep your bait on the hook a little bit better. And then there's worm hooks. You'll see that there's all different types, but for our purposes, find a couple bait holders in the 10 to 12, maybe even 8, that size range, and that's why I want you to have those. Also, one more thing to remember with the hooks. The reason why I want you to bring these small ones is we're going for bluegill and panfish. Their mouths are real small, so I want it to be easy for them to take the bait, and to be able to get it in their mouth. Otherwise, if you go and you're fishing for bluegill and you brought something like this, well, they can't even eat that, so there's no way that you'll even get the hooks in them. So we're starting small. Now I'd like to talk a little bit about the baits that I told you to bring. Berkley Gulp has come out with a series of baits that has worked really good on all different types of fish. and specifically these couple that I asked you to bring to go fishing. Bait fish or panfish and crappie, love them. They make them, these actually look like bugs, and if you compare them to a waxworm or a maggot that you would normally buy at a bait store, they look very similar in color, in shape, and so forth. And all fish eat other fish. It's just a natural thing. And these little guys, they have a kind of a two-tone to them, and they're nice and small and easily fit in a bluegill's mouth. And the nice thing about this stuff is you don't have to worry about finding bait to go fishing. They're not real, so they last forever. One thing to think about, though, is this Gulp formula. If it's not in this juice or in, you'll notice that there's liquid in here, and that has different flavors and things like that, and attractants in there that help the fish want to eat it. But for whatever reason, the formula that this is made out of, they will dry out, and they'll shrink down and kind of look like a piece of jerky or something. So, and I might even have a one that has dried out. Yeah, right here. So if you look at this hook, this is about a 12. This was one of these minnows that was left on there. We're done fishing for the day, and you can see it got hard and it dried up. That's not a big deal, so what? But just understand that these will dry up. So I'm a fan of the jars because you can put them on tight and keep them sealed. Ziploc, sometimes if you didn't quite Ziploc it, then next time you go, they may be dried out on you. But anyway, these are great baits, and they come in multiple colors. Experiment what you want. I tend to stay natural, as the natural bugs are or the natural minnows are. But sometimes water clarity, if it's muddy or something, you may want to play around with brighter colors or something. But anyway, without a doubt, try something natural. And something like a jar like this will last my two girls a whole year almost of fishing. And that's with losing them, flinging bobbers in trees and stuff like that. They last a good long time. So as long as you take care of them, keep this stuff in the juice, and they'll last a long time. The next thing I wanted to talk about was the split shots that I asked you to bring. So you'll notice some split shots, they don't all have this, but some of them do. You'll notice that it has sort of a little jaw. If you can see that, I don't know how close I can get that, but you'll notice they'll have a little jaw. That's where the line goes. You put your fishing line in there, and then you kind of crimp them down, close it down on the line itself. And basically these are just made out of lead, but these particular ones, because they have these sort of two wings on them, that's to allow you to pinch these down and open up the jaw so you can take them off the line if you think you don't need them. I just wanted the little tiny ones because they do a couple things. If they're placed close to your bait that you have on, it can take it to the bottom if your bait seems to be floating too much. And they can also give your line a little extra weight to give you a little more distance on your cast. But you won't use these a whole lot. Just for doing some little bluegill fishing around shore, sometimes you don't even need them, but they're handy. And for $1 and some change, once you advance into get better and better in fine-tuning your techniques, they're not a bad thing to have in your box. I'll just continue on. I don't think I need to talk about needle nose pliers in any more detail, but they do have, it's nice they have the cutter that can cut your line for you when you're trimming, tying knots. And the needle nose, the narrow points are better than regular pliers because you can get down into the small mouths of panfish a little bit better to grip the hook and remove the hook. a lot of these boxes, a lot of companies make them. These help just keep things organized, putting your stuff in it. Some of these, like in this case, this company, they believe that these blue things have some kind of additive that helps so things don't rust. But you don't need a big one. Once you get farther along in fishing and you start to get lures and things like that, these are pretty much a necessity. But for right now, you only have a few things you need to take with you, so just get a little one, and it makes it a lot more convenient. Flip it open, get what you need, new hook or a new bobber or whatever. But just check the sizes of the compartments so that you pick one and that you know that whatever bobbers or whatever, that they'll be useful to you. You don't have a whole lot of stuff to put in them now, but it's still handy to put them all in one place. Snacks I don't need to go over. Bring what you want. Just remember that it's important, especially with kids when they go, that 10% of your trip may be actually fishing, and 90 will be other things. You know, throwing rocks, seeing birds, finding bugs, playing in the water, that sort of stuff. And that's all part of the trip. So don't be alarmed if you take your a kid and to go fishing and seems like they want to do very little fishing, because it's fun to go to a lake and see all the stuff that's going on there and see the new sights, and it's all part of it. As they get better with fishing, that percentage will grow and they'll spend more time fishing, or maybe it goes away. But don't be alarmed if they seem to be wanting to do everything else besides fishing. That's it on that. Okay, so I went into a little more detail on why I picked those specific things, and there isn't a whole lot, but at least it gives you an idea of why I picked those, hopefully, and help you find them in the store and have an understanding of some hooks and some of the basic things. Anyway, I'm going to end this video now. You got your shopping list. Watch the other videos, because I'm going to go into the rods in a little more detail, and the mechanics, how to use them, and I'm also going to talk about line a little bit, and I'm going to teach you a knot that you need to know when you're tying on your hooks. So stay tuned to the other videos. Thank you.